Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secret, Chapter 17, The Heir of Slytherin. He was standing at the end of a very long, dimly lit chamber, towering stone pillar and twinned with more carved serpent, roses to support a ceiling lost in darkness, casting long black shadow through odd greenish gloom that filled the places. His heart his heart beating very fast. Harry stood listening to the chill silence. Could the basilisk be lurking in a shadowy corner behind a pillar? And where was Ginny? He pulled out his wand, moved forward toward the serpent. Right. He pulled out his wand, moved forward between the serpentine column. Every careful footstep echoed loudly of the shadowy walls. He kept his eyes narrowed, ready to clamp them shut at the smallest sign of movement. The hollow eye socket of the stone snake seemed to be following him more than once. With a jolt of stomach, he thought he saw one stir. Then, as he drew level with the last pair of pillars, a statue high as the chamber itself loomed into view. Viewing standing against the back wall, Harry had to crane his neck to look up with a giant face above. It was ancient and monkey-like, with a long, thin beard, and it fell almost at the bottom of the wizard's sweeping stone robes, where two enormous gray feet stood on the smooth chamber floor, and between the fair feet, face down, lay a small black-robed figure with flaming red hair. "Ginny!" Harry muttered, sprinting to her and dropping to his knee. "Ginny, don't be dead. Please don't be dead." He flung his wand aside, grabbed Ginny's shoulder, and turned her over. Her face was white as marble, and as cold yet. Her eyes were closed so she was petrified. But then she must be. "Ginny, please wake up," Harry muttered desperately, shaking her. Ginny had rolled hopelessly from side to side. "She won't wake," said a soft voice. Harry jumped and spun around his knees. A tall, black-haired boy was leaning against the nearest pillar, watching. He was strangely blurred around the edge, as though Harry was mistaken through a misted window. But there was no mistaking him. Tom Riddle? Riddle nodded, not taking his eyes off Harry. Faces. "What do you mean she won't wake?" Harry said desperately. She's not, she's still alive," said Riddle, "but only just." Harry stared at her. Tom Riddle had been a Hogwarts 50 years ago. Yet he stood here, weird misty light shining about him, nor a day older than 16. "Are you a ghost?" said Harry uncertainly. "A memory," said Riddle quietly, "preserved in a diary for 50 years. He pointed toward the floor next to the statue of giant toes. Lying open, there was a little black diary Harry found in Moaning Myrtle room. For a second, Harry wondered how it had gotten there, but there was no more pressing matter to deal with. "You've got to help me, Tom," Harry said, raising Ginny's head again. "We've got to get her out of here. There's a basilisk. I don't know where it is, but I can't. But it could be along any moment. Please help me." Riddle didn't move. Harry, sweating, managed to whisk Ginny off the floor and bent to pick up his wand again. But his wand had gone. "Did you see?" He looked up. Riddle was still watching him, twirling Harry's wand between his long finger. "Thanks," said Harry, stretching out his wand for it. A smile cornered Riddle's mouth. He continued to stare at Harry. twirling they want Italy. Listen, said urgently, his knees sagging with Ginny. Said, wait, we've got to go, and the basilisk come? It won't come until it's called, said Riddle calmly. He lowered Ginny back on the floor, unable to hold her up any longer. What do you mean? He said, look, give me my wand. I might need it. Riddle smiled broadly. You won't be needing it, he said. Harry stared at him. What do you mean I won't be? I've waited a long time for this, Harry Potter, said Riddle, for the chance to see you, to speak to you. Look, said Harry, losing patience. I don't think you get it. We're in the Chamber of Secret. We can talk later. We're going to talk now, said Riddle, still smiling broadly, and he pocketed Harry's wand. Harry stared at him. There's something very funny going on here. How did Ginny get like this? He asked slowly. Well, that's an interesting question, said Riddle pleasantly, and a quite long story. I suppose the real reason Ginny Weasley like this is because she opened her heart and spilled all her secrets to an invisible stranger. What are you talking about? My diary, said Riddle. My diary. Little Ginny been writing in it for month and month, telling me all her pitiful worries about how her brother teased her, and she had to come to school with second-hand ropes and books. Now, Riddle eyes glinted, and how she didn't think famous good great Harry Potter would ever like her. All the time he spoke, Riddle eyes never left Harry's faces. There was almost a hungry look in them. It's very boring, having to listen to silly little trouble of an 11 years old girl, he went on. But I was patient. I wrote back. I was sympathetic. I was kind. Ginny simply loved me. No one's ever understood me like you, Tom. I'm so glad I've got this diary confined it to confined it. It's like having a friend I can carry around in my pocket. Riddle laughed, a high, cold laugh that didn't suit him. It made their hair stand up in the back of Harry's neck. Oh no. It's very boring. But I was patient. I wrote back. I was Wait a minute. Mm. If I say it myself, I've been always able to charm people I needed, so Ginny poured out her soul to me, and her soul happened to be exactly what I wanted. I grew stronger and stronger and died of her deepest fear, her darkest secret. I grew powerful, far more powerful than little Miss Weasley, powerful enough to start feeding Miss Weasley a few of my secret, to start pouring a little of my soul back into her. What do you mean? Said Harry, whose mouth had gone very dry. Haven't you guessed, Harry Potter? Said Riddle softly. Ginny Weasley opened the Chamber of Secret. She strangled the school monster and doubled the threatening message on the wall. She set the serpent of Slytherin on Fort Mudblood and the Squib Cat. No, Harry whispered. Yes, said Riddle calmly. Of course, she didn't know what she was doing at first. It was very amusing. I wish you could have seen her new diary's entries. Far more interesting they became. Dear Tom, he recited, watching Harry with four white faces. I think I'm losing my memory. Their roosts are feathered all over my ropes, and I don't know how they got there, dear Tom. I can't remember what I did of the night of Halloween, but a cat was attacked, and I've got painted all down my front. Wait a minute, please. All the time he spoke, Riddle eyes never left hairy faces. There's almost hungry look in them. It's very boring having to listen. Oh, wait a minute. Speak him. Dear Tom, he recited, watching Harry horrified faces. I think I'm losing my memory. There are rooster feathers all over my robes, and I don't know how they got there, dear Tom. I can't remember what I did. I don't know how they got there, dear Tom. I can't remember what I did of the night of the Halloween, but a cat was attacked, and I've got paint all down my front. Dear Tom, Percy keeps telling me I'm pale and I'm not myself. I think he suspected me. There's another attack today, and I don't know where I was, Tom. What am I going to do? I think I'm going mad. I think I'm the one attacking everyone, Tom. Her fist was clenched, the nail digging deep into his palm. It took a very long time for stupid little Ginny to stop trusting her diary. But she finally became suspicious and tried to dispose of it. And that's where you came in, Harry. You found it, and I couldn't have been more delighted. Of all the people who could have picked it up, it was you, the very person I was almost anxious to meet. And why did you want to meet me? Anger was coursing through him, and it was an effort to keep his voice steady. Well, you see, Ginny told me all about you, Harry, said Riddle, scarring your whole fascinating history. His eyes roved over the lightning scar on Harry's forehead, and his expression grew hungrier. I knew I must find out more about you, talk to you, meet you if I could, so I decided to show you my famous capture of the great oaf Hagrid to gain your trust. Hagrid's my friend, said Harry, his voice now shaking. And you framed me, didn't you? I thought you'd make a mistake, but Riddle laughed his high laugh again. It was my word against Hagrid, Harry. Well, you can imagine how it looked like to old Ornament Tippet. On the one hand, Tom Riddle, poor but brilliant, parentless but so brave, school perfect model student. On the other hand, big blundering Hagrid, in trouble every other week, trying to raise werewolf cub under his bed, sneaking on the forbidden forest to wrestle trolls. But I admit, even I was surprised how the plan worked. I thought someone must realize that Hagrid couldn't possibly be the heir of Slytherin. It had taken me 5 whole years to find out everything I could about Chamber's secret and discover the secret entrance, as though Hagrid had the brain or the power. Only the transfigurant teacher, Dumbledore, seemed to think Hagrid was innocent. He's persuaded Tippet to keep Hagrid and train him as a gamekeeper. Yes, I think Dumbledore might have guessed. Dumbledore never seemed to like me as much as the other teacher did. I bet Dumbledore saw right through you, said Harry, his teeth gritted. Well, he's certainly keeping an unwilling close watch on me after Hagrid was expelled, said Riddle carelessly. I knew it would be safe to open the chamber again while I was at school, but I wasn't going to waste those long years spent searching for it. I decided to leave behind a diary, preserving my 16 years old self in its page, so that one day, with luck, I would be able to lead another in my footsteps and finish Salazar's Slytherin noble work. Well, you haven't finished it, said Harry triumphantly. No one died this time, not even the cat. In a few hours, the Mandrake Draught will be ready, and everyone who is petrified will be all right again. Haven't I already told you, said Riddle quietly, that killing Mudblood doesn't matter to me anymore? For many months now, my target had been you. Harry stared at him. Imagine how angry I was when the next time my diary was open. It was Ginny who was writing to me and not you. She saw you with diary, and you see, and panic. And when you found out how to work it, and I repeat all her secret to you, what if even worse? I told you had been strangling Rooster, so the foolish little brat waited until your demontory was deserted and stole it back. But I knew what I must do. It was clear to me that you were on the trail of Slytherin hair. From everything Ginny had told me about you, I knew you would go any length to solve the mystery. And particularly if one of your best friend was attacked, and Ginny had told me the whole school is buzzing because you could speak Purcell tongue. So I made Ginny write her own farewell on the wall and came down here to wait. So I made Ginny write so farewell on the wall and came down here to wait. And she struggled and cried and became very boring. But there isn't much life left in her. She put too much into in the put too much of her too much into the diary, but there isn't much life life left in her. But she put too much in diary into me, enough to let me leave its page to last. I knew I have been waiting for you to appear since we arrived here. I knew you would come. I have many questions for you, Harry Potter. Like what? Her spat fist still clenched. Well, said Riddle, smiling pleasantly, how is that to a baby with no external magic talent managed to defeat the greatest wizard of all time? How did you escape with nothing but a scar while Lord Voldemort's power were destroyed? There were an odd red gleam in his hungry eyes now. Why do you care how I escape? Said Harry slowly. Voldemort was after your time. Voldemort, said Riddle softly, is my past, present, and future, Harry Potter. He pulled Harry's wand from his pocket and began to trace through the air, writing 3 shimmering words: Tom Marvolo Riddle. He waved the wand once more, and the letter of his name rearranged them. I am Lord Voldemort. You see, he whispered, it was a name I already using at Hogwarts to my most intimated friend only. Of course, you'd think I was going to use my filthy father name forever. I, in whose veins run the blood of Salazar Slytherin himself. Though my mother's side, I keep the name of full common names, who abandoned me even which I was born, just because he found who abandoned me even before I was born. Just because he found out his wife was a witch? No, Harry. I fashioned myself a new name. I name a new wizard. Oh, what Dave feared to speak. When Hattie became the greatest soccer star in the world, her brain seemed to have jam. He stared numbly at Rilla, the orphanage boy who had grown up to mother Harry, own parent, and so many others. At last he forced himself to speak. You're not, he said, his quiet voice still full of hatred. Not what? Snapped Riddle. Not the greatest sorcerer in the world, said Harry, breathing fast. Sorry to disappoint you, and but all that. But the greatest wizard in the world is Albus Dumbledore. Everyone say so. Even when you were strong, you didn't dare and try to take over at Hogwarts. Dumbledore saw through you when you were at school, and he still frightens you now, whether you were hiding in this place. The smile had gone from Riddle's faces, to be replaced by a very ugly look. Dumbledore had been driven out of his castle by the mere memory of me. He hissed. He's not as gone as you might think, Harry retorted. He was speaking random, wanting to scare Riddle, wishing rather than believe it was true. Riddle opened his mouth but froze. Music was coming from somewhere. Riddle whirled around and stared down the empty chamber. The music was growing louder. It was eerie, spine-tingling, unearthly. It lifted the hair on Harry's scalp and made his hair feel as though it was swelling to twice its normal size. Then, as the music reached such a pitch that Harry felt it vibrating inside his own rib, flame erupted at the top of the nearest pillar. A crimson bird the size of the swan had appeared, piping its weird music to the vault ceiling. It had a glittering golden tail as long as peacock, and gleaming golden talons, which were gripping a rage bundle. A second later, the bird was flying straight at Harry. It dropped the rag thing he was carrying at his feet, then landed heavily on his shoulder, and as it folded its great wing, oh my god. As it folded its great wing, Harry looked up and saw its long, sharp golden beak and beady black eyes. The bird stopped singing. It sat still and warm next to Harry's cheek, gazing steadily at Riddle. "That's a phoenix," said Riddle, staring shrewdly. Staring shrewdly back at it. "Fox," Harry breathed. And he left the bird golden claw, squeezed his shoulder gently. "And that," said Riddle. "Now I'm the rag thing that fucking dropped. That's the old school sorting hat." So it was, Pash, Freight, and Doherty. They had motionless at Harry's feet. Riddle began to laugh again. He laughed so hard that the dark chambers rang with it, as though 10 Riddle were laughing at once. "This is what Dumbledore sent us defender, a songbird and an old hat. Do you feel brave, Harry Potter? Do you feel safe now?" Harry didn't answer. He might not see what use Flock or the Sorting Hat were, but he was no longer alone, and he waited with a mounting courage for Riddle to stop laughing. "To business, Harry," said Riddle, still smiling broadly. "Twice in your past and my future we have met, and twice I failed to kill you. How did you survive? Tell me everything. The longer you talk," yet softly, "the longer you stay alive." Harry was thinking fast, waiting the chance. Riddle had the wand. Harry, and Fockboy, and the Sorting Hat. Neither of them would be good in duel. It looked very bad. All right, but the longer Riddle stood there, the more life was dwindling the Ginny. In the meantime, Harry noticed suddenly Riddle's outline had become clearer, more solid. If it had been a fight between him and Riddle, better soon than later. "No one knew why you lost your power when you attacked me," said Harry abruptly. "I don't know myself, but I know why you couldn't kill me. Because my mother died to save me. My common," he added, shaking with suppressed rage. "She stopped you killing me. And I've seen the real you. I saw you last year. You're a wreck. You're barely alive. That's where all your power got you. You're in hiding. You're ugly. You're full." Riddle's face contracted. Then he forced in an awful smile. "So your mother died to save you. Yes, that's a powerful counter charm. I can see now. There's nothing special about you after all. I wanted you to see, because there's strange likeness between us, Harry Potter. Even you must have noticed, both half-blood, orphan, raised by Muggle, probably the only two-person mouth to come to Hogwarts since the great Slytherin himself. We even look at something alike, but after all, it was a merely lucky chance to save you from me. That's all I wanted to know." Harry stood tense, waiting for Riddle to raise his wand, but Riddle twisted his smile was widening again. "Now, Harry, I'm going to teach you a little lesson. Let's match the power of Lord Voldemort, the Hair Salazar Slytherin, against famous Harry Potter. And the best weapon Dumbledore can give him." He cast an amused eyes over Fawkes and the Sorting Hat, and then walk away. Harry, fear spurring his numb leg, watched Riddle stop between the high pillar and look up at the stone face of Slytherin, high above in the half darkness. Riddle opened his mouth wide and hissed, but Harry understood what he was saying. "Speak to me, Slytherin, greatest of Hogwarts 4. Harry wheeled around to look at the statue. Fawkes swinging on his shoulder. Slytherin gigantic stone face moving. Horror struck it. Harry saw his mouth opening wider and wider to make huge black holes, and something was stirring inside the statue's mouth. Something was slithering up from its depth. He backed away until he hit the dark chamber wall, and as he shut his eyes tight, he felt Fawkes' wings sweep his cheek as he took flight. Harry wanted to shout, "Don't leave me!" But what chance did the Phoenix have against the King of Serpent? Something huge hit the stone floor of the chamber. Harry felt a shudder. He knew that something was happening. He could sense it. It could almost see the giant serpent uncoiling itself from its southern mouth when he heard Riddle's hissing voice, "Kill him!" The basilisk was moving toward Harry. He could hear its heavy body slither and pound across the dusty floor. Eyes still tightly shut, Harry began to run blindly sideways, his hand outstretched, feeling his way. Riddle was laughing. Harry tripped. He fell hard on the stone and tasted blood. The serpent was barely feet from him. He could hear it coming. There was a loud, explosive, spitting sound right above him. Then again, something heavy hit Harry so hard that he was smashed against the wall. Waiting for fangs to sink through his body, he heard more mad hissing, something thrashing wildly off the pillar. He couldn't help it. He opened his eye wide enough to squint at what was going on. The enormous serpent, bright pushing and screamed, thick as an oak trunk, had raised itself high in the air. Fawk dived. His long golden beak sank out of sight. In a sudden shower of dark blood spattered the floor. The snake tail thrashed narrowly, missing Harry. And before Harry could shut his eyes, it turned. Harry looked straight into its eyes and saw that its eye, both its great bulbous yellow eyes, had been punctured with phoenix. Blood was streaming to the floor, and the snake was spitting to its agony. "No!" Harry heard Riddle screaming. "Leave the bird! Leave the bird! The boy is behind you! You can still smell him! Kill him!" The blind serpent swayed confused, still deadly. Fawk was curling its head, piping its eerie song, tapping here and there. The plastic scarcely noticed, and the blood poured from its ruined eyes. "Help me! Help me!" Harry murmured wildly. "Someone! Anyone!" The snake tail whipped across the floor again. Harry ducked. Something soft hit his face. The basilisk has swept the Sorting Hat into Harry's arms. Harry seized it. It was all that he had left, his only chance. He rammed it into his head and threw him on the flat floor as the basilisk tail swung over him again. "Help me! Help me!" Harry thought. His eyes screwed tight under the hat. "Please help me!" There was no answering voice. Instead, the hat contracted as though an invisible hand was squeezing it very tightly. Something very hard and heavy thudded on top of Harry's head, almost knocking him out. The star winking in front of his eyes. He grabbed the top of the hat, pulled it off, and felt something long and hard and beneath it. A gleaming silver sword had appeared inside the hat, its handle glittering with the rubies of the eggs. "Kill the boy! Leave the bird! The boy is behind you! Sniff! Smell him!" Harry was on his feet and ready. The basilisk head was falling, its body coiling around, hitting pillar twisters to face him. He could see the vast, bloody eye socket, see the mouth stretching wide and swallowing whole, lying with fangs along as its sword, thin, glittering, venomous. It lunged blindly. Harry dodged, and it hit the chamber wall. It lunged again, its forked tongue lashed Harry's side. He raised the sword above his hand. The basilisk lunged again, and this time its aim was true. Harry threw his whole weight behind the sword and drove it into the hilt and to the roof of his serpent mouth. But as the warm blood drenched Harry's arms, he felt a searing pain just above his elbow. One long poisonous fang was sinking burned deeper into his arm, and it splintered as the basilisk keeled over side and fell, twitching to the floor. Harry slid down the wall. He gripped the fang that was spreading portion through his body and wrenched it out of his arm, but he knew it was too late. White-hot pain was spreading slowly and steadily from the wound. Even if he dropped the fang and watched his own blood soaking robes, his vision went foggy. The chamber was dissolving in a whirl of dull color. A patch of scarlet swam past, and Harry heard a soft clatter of claw behind him. Fawk! Harry said thickly. You were brilliant, Fawk! He felt the bird lay its beautiful head on the spot where the serpent fang had pierced him. He could hear echoing footsteps, and the dark shadow move in front of him. You're dead, Harry Potter, said a little voice above him. Dead. Even Dumbledore and Bird know it. Do you see what he's doing, Porter? He's crying. Harry blinked. Fawk's head slid in and out of focus. Thick pearly tears was trickling down the glossy feather. I'm going to sit here and watch you die, Harry Potter. Take your time. I'm in no hurry. Harry felt drowsy. Everything around him seemed to be spinning. So ends the famous Harry Potter, said a real distant voice. Alone in the Chamber of Secret, forsaken by his friend, defeated at last by the Dark Lord so he unwisely challenged. You'll be back with your dear mudblood mother soon, Harry. She bought you 12 years of borrowed time, but Lord Voldemort got you in the end, as you knew he must. If this is dying, thought Harry, it's not so bad. Even the pain was leaving him. But was this dying? Instead of going black, the chamber seemed to be going back into focus. Harry gave his head a little shake, and there was Fawk, still resting his head on Harry's arm. A pearly patch of tears was shining all around the wound, except there was no wound. Get away, Bird, said a real voice suddenly. Get away from him! I said, get away! Harry raised his head. Riddle was pointing Harry's wand at Fawk. There was a bang like a gun, and Fawk took flight again, and whirled of gold and scarlet. Phoenix tear, said Riddle quietly, staring at Harry's arms. Of course, healing power. I forgot. He looked into Harry's faces, but it made no difference. In fact, I preferred it this way. Just you and me, Harry Potter. You and me. He raised the wand. Then, in a rush of wing, Fawk soared back overhead, and something fell into Harry's laps. The diary. For a split second, both Harry and Riddle, wands still raised, started. Then, without thinking, without considering, as though he had meant to do it all along, Harry seized the basket fang on the floor next to him and plunged straight into the heart of the book. There was a long, dreadful, piercing scream. Ink spurted out of the floor of the giant torment, streaming over Harry's hands, flooding the floor. Riddle was writhing and twisting, screaming and fleeing. Then he had gone. Harry's wand fell to the floor with a clatter, and there was silence. Silence, except for the steady drip of an ink still oozing from the diary. The basket of venom had burned a sizzling holes right through it. He had gone. Harry wand fell to the floor with a clatter, and there was silence. Oh my gosh. Shaking all over, Harry pulled himself up. His head was spinning as though he just traveled a mile by fluid power. Slowly he gathered together his wand and sorting hat, and with a huge tug, retrieved and glittering sword from the roof of the basket mouth. Then came a faint moan from the end of the chamber. Ginny was stirring. As Harry hurried toward her, she sat up. Her bemused eyes traveled from the huge form of the dead basilisk over Harry and his blood-soaked robes. Then to the diary. In his hand she drew a great shuddering gasp, and tears began to pour down her face. Oh, Harry, I tried to tell you at breakfast, but I couldn't say in front of Percy. It was me, Harry, but I swear I didn't mean to. Riddle make me. He took me over, and how did you kill that thing? Where's Riddle? The last thing I remember is coming out of the diary. It's all right, said Harry, holding up the diary. I'm showing Jenny the fang hole. Riddle finished. Look, him and the basilisk. Come on, Ginny, let's get out of here. I'm going to be expelled, Ginny wept as Riddle helped her awkwardly to her feet. I've looked forward to coming to Hogwarts ever since Bill came, and now I'll have to leave. And what will Mom and Dad say? Fogg was waiting for them, hovering in the chamber entrance. Harry urged Ginny forward, and they stepped over the motionless coil of the dead basilisk. Through the echoing gloom, motionless of coil and dead, through the echoing gloom, and back into the tunnel. Harry heard the stone door close behind them with a soft hiss. After a few minutes process of the dark tunnel, a distant sound of slowly shifting rock reached Harry's ears. Run! Harry yelled, speeding up. Ginny is okay. I've got her. He heard Ron give a strangled cheer, and then he turned the next bent her eager face, staring through the sizable gap he had managed to make in the rock fall. Ginny! Ron thrust an arm through the gap in the rock to pull her through first. You're alive! I don't believe it! What's happened? He tried to hug her, but Ginny held him off, sobbing. But you're okay, Ginny, said Ron, beaming at her. It's over now. Where did the bird come from? Fogg had swooped through the gap after Ginny. He's Dumbledore, said Harry, squeezing through himself. And how come you got a sword? said Ron, gapping his glittering weapon in Harry's hand. I'll explain when we get out of here, said Harry with a sideway glance at Ginny. But later, Harry said quickly. He didn't think it was a good idea to tell Ron who opened the chamber, not in front of Ginny anyway. Where's Lockhart? Back there, said Ron, grinning and jerking his head up the tunnel toward the pipes. He's in a bad way. Come and see. Led by Fogg, whose wide scarlet wing emitted a soft golden glow in the darkness. They walked all the way back to the mouth of the pipe. Gilderoy Lockhart was sitting there, humming placidly to himself. His memory gone, said Ron. The memory charm backfire hit him instead of us. Haven't got a clue who he was, who he is, or where he is. Who we are. I told him to come and wait here. He's a danger to himself. Lockhart peered good naturally at them. Hello, he said. An odd sort of place. This isn't it. Do you live here? No, said Ron, raising his eyebrow at Harry. Harry bent down and looked at the long, dark pipe. Have you thought how we're going to get back up this? He said to Ron. Ron shook his head, but Fogg, the phoenix, had swooped past Harry and was now fluttering in front of him, his beady eyes bright in the dark. He was waving his long golden tailed feather. Harry looked uncertainly at him. You look like you want to grab hold, said Ron, looking perplexed. But you're too much heavy for a bird to pull up there. Fox, Harry, isn't an ordinary bird. He turned quickly to the others. We've got to hold on each other. Ginny grabbed Ron's hand. Professor Lockhart? You mean you, said Ron sharply to Lockhart. You hold Ginny's other hands. Harry tucked the sword and the sorting hat into his belt. Ron took hold of the back of the hairy robes, and Harry reached out and took hold of Fox's strangely hot tail feather. An extraordinary light seemed to spread through his whole body, and next second, with a whoosh, they were flying upward through the pipe. Harry could hear Lockhart dangling below him, saying, Amazing! Amazing! This is just like magic! The chill air was whipping through Harry's hairs, and before he stopped enjoying the ride, it was over. All four of them were now hitting the wet floor of Moaning Myrtle bathroom. And as Lockhart straightened his hat, the sink that hit the pipe was sliding back into places. Myrtle goggled at them. You're alive, she said blankly to Harry. There's no need to sound so disappointed, he said grimly, whipping flood of blood and slime off his glasses. Oh well, I've been just thinking. If you'd died, you'd have been welcome to share my toilet, said Myrtle, blushing silver. Said Ron as they left the bathroom in the dark forest. Dark desert corridor outside. Harry, I think Myrtle got fond of you. You've got competition, Ginny. Now tears, but tears were still flooding silently down Ginny's faces. Where now? Said Ron with an anxious look at Ginny. Harry pointed. Fogg was leading the way, glowing gold along the corridor. They strode after it. A moment later, found themselves out of Professor McGonagall's office. Harry knocked and pushed the door open.